Welcome, guys. Berek here, Equity Podcast. Today we're going to talk a quick one. I think I say that every time. We're going to talk about tearing your hands. Right up front, tearing your hands is an injury. All right, it's an injury. You're literally tearing your hands open. So, is it good to be injured? Nope. We shouldn't be doing that. Ripping your hands is not something to glorify. It's not something that is cool. It's something that we should be like upset when it happens, and we don't want that to happen. Something went wrong when we tear our hands. It is an injury. We don't want it to happen. If we tear our hands, it's going to affect everything else that we do. It's going to affect our real life. It's going to affect our stuff in the gym. We don't want that to happen. So first, I just want to make sure that everybody's on that same page. Like, this is not something that we want to happen. We shouldn't be sharing it. Be like, oh, I tore my hands on Murph. Like, that's not a good thing, right? So, and I bring this up because, one, it's just something I was thinking about, and then also it's been really humid lately, and humidity definitely brings that out. What happens is, we have these calluses, and then it gets really humid, we get really sweaty, and that sweat starts coming down onto our hands, and then our calluses get soft, right? Then we start adding load to that callus. We're up on that pull-up bar, and that pull-up bar starts loading the callus, and then that's when it tears off. Or, with a barbell, same thing can happen. So we want to make sure that we avoid that. So we're going to talk about some things to do that. I wrote an article back in, I don't remember, old gym maybe, so maybe like 2014 sometime, called 5 Tips for Bulletproof Hands. So I'm going to modify that a little bit. I'm going to use 6 tips, and then there's an extra one there at the end. So first of all is grip. You need to make sure that you have a proper grip. What we see a lot is a suicide grip. When we have a suicide grip on the bar when we're doing pull-ups, there tends to be a lot of hand movement. Even with grips, there's still a lot of hand movement. More hand movement means more friction, which means that bar is going over the calluses repeatedly. There's a higher chance of tearing. So we want to make sure that we're using a proper grip on the bar, using that gymnastic hook grip. I talk about that a little bit more in the article, and there's some pictures of what a gymnastic hook grip looks like. Use proper grip. Same with deadlifts, making sure we're setting up for that grip properly. So grip. Super, super important. Make sure that we're holding that bar right. The next one is using our hands. We're going to talk about guards, hand guards later on, but those are a crutch. Think about if every time you picked up the barbell, you wore a belt. You're not learning how to use your midline. The belt is acting as it. It's the same thing. If you always use grips, you're never going to learn how to use your hands. You're never going to build up the calluses needed to do that work. You're never going to be able to, you're never going to build up that capacity to do it. You need to do it to be able to do it, right? And you start small and you slowly build up. Like I said, we'll get to grips about that, but you need to use your hands, your bare hands. Use them, all right? My mitts. I say that reference every time. If you've ever seen the movie Sin City, one of the things that he's going through all these things that he needs to do this mission, and he comes like in there, it's just his 2 hands, and he goes, my mitts. You need your mitts, all right? The next one is you need to monitor your hands. Make sure that during a workout, you're keeping an eye on your calluses. Hey, I'm starting to get some irritation right here. Hey, my calluses are really starting to do something. How wet are my hands getting? Make sure you bring a towel with you. Keep your hands dry. Monitor your hands. Use some chalk, right? Notice when you start feeling some slippage. Notice when, hey, the last time I tore, I kind of started feeling like this beforehand. Hey, I've done 50 toes a bar and I still have another 20. I should probably start splitting them up, or I need to work on a different grip, right? There's a bunch of different grips we can use. There's an ideal grip, and then we can kind of, hey, there's different tools in the toolbox. So monitor your hands, adjust accordingly. Dry your hands, keep them dry. The next one is a callus shaver. You're gonna get calluses, and calluses are a good thing, but if the calluses get too big, that is when they are more likely to tear. Where there's more surface area for that bar to pull on, that can be really bad. So we want to make sure that we're not letting those calluses get too big. So they actually have something called a callus shaver. Sometimes it's called a corn shaver. There's a bunch of different ways. And basically it's just a razor blade that you use to shave your calluses down. And I know that sounds really aggressive, but you get used to it, and it's not too bad. You know, you just be gentle at first, slowly take it off, and you'll get the hang of it. So callus shaver, super important. Not a pumice. We'll talk about that later, but not a pumice. Callus shaver. Don't let those get too big. Second one is to hydrate your hands. Maintain your hands. Every single night before you go to bed, lotion your hands with a high quality lotion. Let it sit in, let it hydrate your hands. If your hands are dry and cracked and you're not taking proper care of them, when you start adding chalk and you start adding sweat, it's just gonna get even worse, and you're gonna have not good skin, right? And it's gonna be really dry and, it's not gonna be good. So high quality lotion every single night before you go to bed. Going to bed, it lets it just soak in, all right? And it lets it really absorb the skin, right? The sixth one, this is the new one, is guards. They are a tool that we can use to help protect our hands. But like I said before, with using our hands, we want to make sure that it's not becoming a crutch. We don't wear our belt every time. We should not necessarily wear guards all the time. Most workouts that have a lot of hand movement, I'm gonna have my guards around my wrists, but I'm not gonna use them right away because I don't need to. If I realize that, hey, I'm sweating a lot today, I might start right on it. If it's a movement that I know, like my hands are already beat up from other movements, like, hey, we did pull-ups on Monday, now we have toes to bar on Tuesday, I might be more likely to wear my guards on that for those toes to bar because my hands are already a little worn out from the previous work. So have them, know how to use them, learn how to use them, practice with them, but don't make it a crutch where you can only do them with guards. They should not be something that is required for you to do your movement. Also, part of this with the guards, with using your hands, use different bars, use different equipment, learn how to adjust. Using the same pull-up bar every time, there's going to be times where you can't do that, right? It's not going to be feasible, so you're going to have to use a bar that's not ideal for you. Mix it up. Use a bar that's too high. Use a bar that's too low. Use the powder-coated bar. Use the Spiel bar, right? Just mix it up, right? Mix it up. Last thing, this is more for your significant other. It's more if you just don't like the way calluses look on your hands, and that is to use a pumice stone. A pumice stone is not a replacement for a callus shaver. It is not a replacement for the callus shaver. It's going to smooth everything out. A pumice stone is like a high grit sandpaper. It isn't that. It's like it, where like you're not going to get a lot of material off, right? So that callus shaver is a high grit sandpaper. It's going to take off a lot of material, but it's going to be not very smooth. That the pumice stone is that high grit, where it's not going to take a lot of skin off, but it's going to make it smooth. It's going to make it very nice. So, if your significant other likes some smooth hands, if you like having nice hands, think about using that pumice stone, and that'll help smooth them out a little bit so they look good. Well, I hope this was helpful. Try to keep this one short. Try to keep it under 10 minutes. If you have any questions, let me know. Shoot me, berek.brian@equity.fitness. And yeah, guys, keep working towards better, and cheers.